Hello, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Monstercat. This is the podcast where me, your host Mika, and a couple of my buddies talk about what's happened this week in Monstercat. And so, this week, per usual, we have the ever so illustrious Peter.
Yeah, boy.
Yep. And in a break of the norm, we actually have another guest on, which is good. Not the pizza guest. We have a guest on. Aron from Synthesizer.
Yeah, boy.
Say hello.
Howdy.
Yeah?
Hey, that's my
Howdy.
line.
Yeah, I stole it. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Thievery.
Yep.
Controversy.
It's cultural appropriation.
Oops.
Exactly.
You're stealing.
YouTube drama.
No,
We're gonna get mad
guys.
subscribers now. Let's go.
No,
We could do
Google
drama between a
demonetize us.
synthesizer and MC Reviews. Sounds good.
For stealing the opening hello line.
You
That would be
you
great.
could next video, just you watch, it'll be like, hey guys, this is Pete from the MC Reviews channel. We'll take your line, and then one of us will get on Drama Alert, and it'll just be...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even
it'll
better,
just be
Miller
like
News.
Jake and Logan Paul, fake controversy.
Exactly. God, let's never talk about those two again.
Yeah.
And back to Monstercat. So this week, we've only got 3 tracks to review because it's only 1 week and it's a pretty standard week when it comes to the amount of tracks. So we have the new Mern track. What's it called? Is it called Consolation?
Confessions.
Featuring Cozy Zwezeldorf. Is that it?
I think it's Zuzeldorf.
I don't know. I'm American.
God knows.
I'm so
It's
American.
probably better to just not try.
Yeah.
Then we have the debut of Bad Computer with the track
New Dawn.
New Dawn.
And then the final track released this week was it called Let's Get Crunk?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get crunk.
Yeah, Let's Get Crunk by
Are you
Gamma.
just guessing?
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to remember.
Every single track, you had to be like, what's the name of it?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, do you just wanna get straight into it?
Sounds like a plan
Get
to
straight
me.
into the review? Alright, now I think because he is the guest, I'm interested, and because you're such a big fan of Future Bass, tell us, what do you think of Mern? What do you think of Mern, Aron?
Mern in general?
Yeah, from what you've heard.
I mean, I only really... Okay, I'm not going to spoil, obviously, what I think of Confessions, but I really like Get It All. I really like the tropical almost influence of it. I really like the sound design of it. After Dark, I didn't like it at first. It kind of grew on me. I've heard Mern's other stuff on, like, 99 Lives, tracks like Architect, and those, I think, are, like, kind of hot garbage. But his tracks on Monstercat have both been pretty good. Get It All, and I think is a little better, but... I like them both. That are, the ones that aren't Confessions.
Yeah. I think that Get It All was a bit of a disappointment because I loved After Dark. I thought that was like really amazing because it was a generic future bass track, but the only thing that wasn't generic about it was that it was a different tone. Whereas most future bass tracks are just like that really happy, upbeat tone thing. This one was more of a sort of sad, well not sad, but like sort of more down-to-earth tone, which I really liked, and it was more of a sort of relaxed future-based thing that wasn't quite as ecstatic and happy and over-the-top as most other future-based things, and so I thought that worked really well. It was really interesting. And then Get It All was okay, but the main sort of vocal drop lead and the drops wasn't very good, but the guitar at the end was incredible.
That's true.
That was awesome. Yeah. Pete, what are your opinions on Mern?
I know it's definitely not something you agree with, but over time, Get It All has grown on me, like, a lot, and I really like that track.
My boy.
And, and After Dark, I totally understand why you really like it, Mika. Just personally, I can't get behind it, but I totally get what you mean with the tone being different. But I think Get It All does the same kind of thing. That song isn't ecstatic and happy either. And while I don't think it does it better, I totally think After Dark does it better. I just enjoy the sound design of Get It All a little more. Because I know the vocal chops aren't that great, but everything else surrounding it I really like. Especially that guitar drop at the end. I think everyone can agree is very good.
Yeah, I just... The thing about Get It All is the main lead made me think of Marshmello. really turned me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Get It All. I think After Dark had way better vocals than Get It All, in my opinion. But yeah, so let's get into Confessions featuring Cozy Zuzeldorf. Aaron, start us off. How do you feel about Confessions? As a song?
It's been a little weird for me because when I first heard it, I really, really didn't like the drop, like, at all. I really hated it. Like, I thought it was gonna be like my least favorite future bass track on the label. I really, really hated it at first.
Isn't this more like trap? Just like
Yeah.
tonally, I'd say it's more like, because it's got more of like a sort of like rambunctious badass sort of thing.
Yeah,
than
Right.
like a smooth
It's different.
future
It's
bass
different.
thing.
And that kind of put me off at first. The whole like brass, like because the drop has this really brassy lead, and sometimes it works in EDM, sometimes it doesn't. At first, I didn't think it worked. It's definitely grown on me like this week. It only came out like 5 days ago, but it has grown on me since then. I have to say, like, even on my first listen, like the off drop sections, the vocals are like godly, as they always are in Mern's other tracks. Very intimate, very nice atmosphere. I really like the vocals too. A lot more emotional, as one of you guys said. I actually don't remember already. About Mern's tracks is that they're more emotional than most future bass. They're a lot slower, and a lot they're a lot more intimate, and I really like that. Like the off drop sections
I
and
definitely
vocals,
agree,
both
yeah.
godly. The drop, I'm still kind of getting used to it, but it's definitely not like my least favorite future bass song anymore. I definitely see why so many people love it so much. It's definitely weird and interesting, which is cool. But yeah, it's in the middle.
Is it labeled as future bass on the channel?
What's up?
On the channel, is it labeled as future bass?
I think it might have been labeled as just electronic, but I think
Yeah, probably.
it's future bass. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, definitely from the beat and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sort of running. It's like same way Drolo does it. It's sort of like running the line between trap and future bass, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
But yeah, Pete, what do you think of Confessions?
I think, to kind of disagree a little bit with Aaron, I think the intro and the vocal section is just a worse version of After Dark. Like the vocals especially.
Yeah.
Especially if you listen to the very start of both tracks, the beat sounds super similar, and the whole intro sections sound really similar. The vocals just feel, they don't feel pointless in this song. They just feel like, I don't know. I kind of think they are a little.
They're not
pointless,
nearly
to be
as
honest.
powerful as the vocals
Yeah,
from
exactly.
After Dark at all.
Exactly. I think the off drop sections were one of the bits of After Dark that I enjoyed more, and I feel like this is so close to that the fact that it's not as good makes it stand out a lot more. That being said, the drops are like what make this song for me. They're so not what you would expect from Mern at all.
Yeah.
If you listen to his first two tracks and then you hear this, you're like, excuse me? And I can understand why, because it was for me too, the kind of track that you have to listen to a few times to start to like it, because it's jarring.
Right.
It's really, really jarring, but once you get used to it, I honestly kind of like it. And I really like how at times the brass, especially as it like quickly ascends in notes and pitch, it almost sounds like a quarter of a beat off, and I really, really like just the general weird sound that the drops have to them. That being said, I do think the two drops are a bit too similar.
Oh,
if you
are
ask
they
me.
even different? Like,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they're
No,
like exactly the same.
That's probably the biggest issue I have, but I feel like there's enough space between them, and they don't go for so long that it's that much of a problem.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Pete. I didn't really think of it that way, but when you put it as like all of the off drop segments just like worse After Dark, I 100% agree. Like After Dark was like just really, really powerful and beautiful, where this song seems to be trying to do that, but it's just not doing it very well in comparison. It's still not terrible, but I don't know. Like all of the instrumentals to the off drops are pretty good. Like especially the intro, the beat is like really complex and cool. It reminds me almost of like a sort of Kuro beat, like a Kuro sort of Amon style beat, because it's like got really cool sort of diverse, strange sounding samples.
But if you listen to like the first 10 seconds of After Dark, it's got literally what sounds like the same samples, and that's
Yeah,
where
oh,
some of
definitely.
the comparison was drawn for me.
Yeah. But, yeah, as soon as the vocals come in, that sort of really hurt all of the off-drop segments, and sort of not entirely ruin them, but get pretty close. And, yeah, I don't really like Cozy that much. Just because, I don't know, I feel like because she was in The Girl, now everyone just sort of has placed her as this, like, god-tier vocalist, when she was only really in, like, one song.
Yeah.
You know, that, like, people were like... Because what are the other songs she's been in that people really, really remember her for? Is anyone really remembering her for Nevada?
Or
Is anyone
from,
really...
Or from the Rich Edwards song.
Yeah,
or
that,
Yeah.
Where I'll Be Waiting.
Oh,
Yeah. Like, I feel like she's
that's,
been
like,
placed
one of the
in, like...
forgettable
She's been
tracks.
placed up there with, like, Laura Brem, right? As one of these Monstercat's, like, god-tier vocalists. But that's just because she was in one really popular Good House track. Like, she's not
Yeah.
terrible, but she's not that great. And she's really not that great in this song. She's not terrible, but I just wish she wasn't there because she gets in the way of the cool instrumentals. But as for the drop, drop's awesome. It's really cool. It's a pity they're the same, but yeah, the sort of... I love the way that the drop sort of slides in and out of pitch, and there are bits of it that definitely sound sort of like off-pitch, and sound like a little bit wrong, and like you said, a little bit off-time, which I really, really like. I find that really cool. Yeah, and just the way that the main brass and all the sort of future bass or trap beats in the background, they'll work really well. Percussion-wise, it's quite a simple drop, but it's satisfying and it hits hard. And that main sort of brassy, slidey lead is really cool. But yeah, the drops shouldn't be the same. And also, the instrumental to the midsection is amazing. I love that bit so much. But again, the vocals get in the way. But yeah, like overall, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's never going to be able to touch After Dark again in my mind, because that's like a 8 or 9 out of 10 track. But this is still definitely listenable, and I quite enjoy it. Yeah.
As much as the off drops and the vocals definitely go for that same kind of After Dark thing, I think the drop is so different that it's not even that comparable to After Dark at this point. It's just so different, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that he's making different sounding songs instead of just making After
Well,
Dark.
yeah,
and After Dark
all three
2.
of his songs so far have like had completely different main sort of sounds and leads.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're different from, like, they're not just different within, like, his own discography. Like, they're different from Future Bass as a whole, which I think a lot of people like, because people are tired of, like, that generic Future Bass sound. So Mern,
Tell me about
Don't
it.
even get me started.
yeah. But with every new track, Mern sort of brings, like, a new style to the table, even when it comes to, like,
superhuman.
Future Bass as a whole. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that a lot. It's there are a couple of artists that are doing that, like you've got Grant, you've got Drolo, you've got Mern, that are all sort of putting a twist on Future Bass, which not enough artists are trying to do. San Holo to an extent as well, which I really,
You've got
really like.
Slander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope he never releases again and we ignore him. Sorry, Aaron.
Oh
I know you like him,
no.
Nah.
There's
There's a new Slander track coming out, like, confirmed.
but- Wait, really?
Yeah, and it sounds
Slander
very
has
similar.
2 collabs with Kaiser coming out.
2?
Mm-hmm.
Well, can they just be hardstyle, please?
Nah,
Please?
it sounds very similar to Superhuman, the first one.
As long as they don't sound like over the edge.
Yeah, I really didn't like that either.
Yeah, the vocals are disgusting, and that's... Ugh. Yeah, but, Yeah. So, is that all we have to say in Confessions?
I reckon so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's gonna bring us to the next track, which is New Dawn, I believe.
Yeah, New Dawn.
Yes, it is.
New Dawn by Bad Computer. And I'll let Pete start off, because I have a feeling that he wants to talk about this track.
I mean, I had never heard of Bad Computer before
Neither.
the announcement of this track coming out, and I had no idea what to expect. And my favorite thing from this track is just the fact that I now know who Bad Computer is.
I know.
Because
Right,
just through
yeah.
listening through his other discography, especially one track which I'll talk about later, I'm really on board, and I'm glad that this is evidence that Monstercat is still signing the not very popular artists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
dude.
look at
Definitely.
if you look
4,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
yeah, exactly. So I'm so glad to see Monstercat still putting artists like this in the spotlight. And this track in particular, I don't love it as much as some of the other stuff I've heard after discovering Bad Computer, but this track has a lot of cool things going for it. I think the vocals are unnecessary in that song.
No way.
I don't think
way.
that the track really needed vocals that much.
No
but
way.
I think over the course of the song, it does a lot of different cool stuff. I really enjoy the progression, and there's so many different things that happen from the start of the song to the first drop. Like, probably my favorite section is the build-up bit from, like, the end of the vocals to the start of the drop. So much cool stuff that happens there.
It's so
and
dope.
The drop itself is just really nice and laid back, and I think it's got a great atmosphere. And I think if this song is comparable to anything, it's the song Tell Me by No Manner, which, for No Manner, that song was, like, nothing like anything else he ever does. So if you just hear the name
way
No
more
Manner...
chill.
Yeah. But, like, if you don't know that track and you think I'm just comparing this to No Manner in general, no, that would be stupid. But that particular track, the vocals especially remind me of that, and the general sound design gives me flashbacks to that, and that's a great thing because I really
that
like
comparison is
Tell Me.
100% spot on. Definitely.
Yeah. And I hope Bad Computer stays around in the future to release more stuff, which I think he probably will, because the artists that don't have much of a following at the start of joining Monstercat, they generally do tend to stick around. Like, you know, Slips and Slurs,
yeah.
Kuro, Glacier, all those people didn't have that much of a following when they joined, and they seem to have stuck around, so I really like this track, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Bad Computer can bring to the table in the future.
Yeah. Like, I agree with what you're saying with the vocals being unnecessary, and the song, I don't think the song would be any better or any worse if the vocals weren't in it. Like, the vocals I quite like, they're fine. I feel like she definitely has, she definitely has that sort of telling me vibe with the vocals, but she's a bit more relaxed, and I really like the way she sounds, but yeah, like you said, they don't need to be in the song.
Yeah,
but
I actually quite like them, but I just don't, it just feels a little out of place.
Yeah, definitely. But, like you were saying, wait, no, I'm so happy that Monstercat is signing this, because as every day goes by, I lose more and more faith in Monstercat, and this has brought me back so much faith that this small move of them signing this song from this tiny artist on a genre that is not even slightly popular today, and it's not even
and its length,
and it's 5 minutes, and it's not going to make Monstercat very much money, and I'm so happy because it's freaking prog house, and almost all of the prog house on Monstercat is amazing. Like, when it comes to prog house, Monstercat has really good taste. Like, they never choose ultra long boring tracks, even though I can like those, but they never choose those ones. They always choose ones that get to the point but still have that really nice build. You know, Space Cadet and this, and some of No Taker's stuff, and this track is amazing. I love this song.
it's amazing.
the like you were saying, the build-ups are so cool. Like, especially the second one's pretty good, but the first build-up is, like, godly. Yeah. The way that it, like, builds up, and then it, like, sort of deflates, and then builds up again is awesome. And the drop is, like, really chill. It's just, like, a sub-bass and a melody, and the house beat, but the house beat works really well, because it's, like, not too, you know, like, in your face, and it's not too heavy. It's quite a light house beat, but it works really well, and it works well with the really light main melody, which is sort of just, like, plopped in every so often, and it sounds really nice. And there are bits in the drop where the main lead goes, like, really distorted and goes, like, off key and off pitch at times, and it sounds really cool. And so it's a pretty simple song, so there's not that much to say on it, but I just really love it, and I reckon that it's maybe, like, just because of, not just because of how good the song is, but because of, you know, what the song means, it might just be my favorite song of the year so far. Like, this is great. This is great. And, I can't say with words how much I love this song. So, Aaron, tell us, what did you think about New Dawn?
So, I also think that this song is phenomenal. I am in disagreement with the vocals because I think that the vocals are phenomenal. And as someone who doesn't really enjoy progressive house very much, like usually what I don't like about it is how empty and how repetitive it is. And this track is not that. Like the vocals sort of add some volume to it, which is very much needed in a lot of progressive house tracks, in my opinion. Like it just gives it a fuller sort of sound to me, and plus like the vocals are really good in the first place. So I think it definitely adds a lot to the song. Personally,
I will admit as well, they're not overbearing. That could be a problem.
No,
but they feel
Right.
like the vocals are devoted to their own section of the song, and there's still enough other non-vocal sections going on that it doesn't become overbearing. So I totally get where you're coming from.
right? And I mean that's understandable. Like the vocals, they do sound like kind of different because the theme, it's like kind of trancey, and it is kind of repetitive, and the vocals are kind of contrasting with that. But personally, I really like them. I don't know. I'm also very happy that this track got signed to Monstercat because I think Bad Computer easily could have gone to a label like some other label, maybe Mousetrap, and that would have been like a much better fit. But the fact that this got signed is probably a great indicator to maybe other progressive house producers that, you know, maybe they have a shot instead of just like moving on to Mousetrap. So that's really cool. And Bad Computer has actually confirmed that he has more tracks coming to Monstercat. And one of my favorite track that I've heard from him so far is called For Me. And he said that he had another track coming out on Monstercat that sounds a lot like For Me. And he also said that was like the favorite track, or his favorite track that he's ever made. Something along those lines.
Yeah,
it's on his
Forme's
Twitter.
dope.
Yeah, dude. So I'm really excited for what this guy has to bring to the table. And he's like young too. I think he's like 18 or something, which is crazy. Yeah. So yeah,
and
good stuff.
Just before we move on, there's one tiny thing I want to touch on, which is like the most random small thing, but in the build-up, just before the drop, the little vocal chop that plays before the drop, I love so much. It reminds me of the sort of shit you'd hear in some like really old like melodic dubstep track. Those sort of vocal chops. It's awesome. It's very nostalgic. The sort of shit I used to listen to. But yeah, you guys have anything more to say on New Dawn?
Nah, man, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Oh my god, just seeing that 5 minutes and 8 seconds next to a Monstercat release, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's great. So yeah, I believe that brings us to the final track, Let's Get Drunk. Is that it?
Yeah.
That is it.
Speaking of long tracks, am I right? It's 2 minutes and 42 seconds.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, honestly,
so, yeah.
something being extra short is better than 3.5 minutes, if you ask me. Because it's just
real?
that whole every song being 3.5 minutes is part of... It's not just the length of the tracks that bothers me, it's also that they're all the same length as well. So if something's a little shorter than average, that's totally fine. If you ask me, it's just the whole songs being every song being 3.5 minutes is what bothers me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if your song's 2 minutes 40, you probably can't fit in some obligatory shitty vocal segment too.
Right.
But I'm gonna be honest. Starting off like with his recent releases being Party Don't Stop and Over the Edge, I really didn't have high hopes for this song, just because Over the Edge and Party Don't Stop are like some of my least favorite releases on the label. I hate them both infinitely. But thankfully, this song's alright. The theme is like, this song to me is like, it sort of has like the holy trinity of bro genres. Starts off with bro step, goes into hardcore, and then has trap. That's like the 3 bro genres. And so yeah, this is definitely one of those songs where like nothing matters besides the drop. It's just like a party track where you're just there for the drop so people can jump and things. And the song definitely gives me a bit of a Snails vibe to the sound design. It's very stilted and ugly and like relentless with its sound design, and which is something I like. And so, I mean, this song is like basic as anything. The first drop's dubstep, then it goes into hardcore, and then it goes into trap, and I mean, it's just a very, very basic, very empty drop with some cool sort of trappy, snailsy, dubsteppy samples. So there's not much to say on it, but for what it's going for, which is just like a sort of banger that has no significance besides that, it's pretty good. But, oh yeah, that reminds me, the one thing in the song that I think is actually really cool and unexpected is there are these sort of like melodic dubstep / future bass bits in the middle between the two drops, which I actually think are really, really good. I'm sure Pete hates them because they're so slow, but
What, the mid
I really like that. Yeah.
Well, do you want me to start talking about the song and point
Yeah,
out
yeah,
that
yeah.
that's my favorite part of the whole song?
Ah, shit.
I was
Yeah,
going to
tell us
say,
about
I
the track.
completely disagree that the off drops don't matter, because that little midsection bit is like my favorite bit of the song. It's got the most interesting beat. It's like totally cool and all over the place, and the melodic lines actually feels like it has quite a bit of depth. And later, there's a little bit of a really cool extra melodic line added in, and that's easily my favorite.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like Au5 doing like really good melodic dubstep.
Yeah, I really, really like it. And as for the drops, I don't know, they're nothing special, but I still quite enjoy them. I think this song could have been way worse. That's one thing I must say.
Yeah, for
Coming
sure.
from Gamma, I think he actually did try like quite a bit with this track, and it could have been way worse and way more basic. And I still think this, in quite a few ways, just fits into that, you know, only a couple sound bro step songs and the drops. But I like some of the sounds. Like the main sound that you hear at the start of the drop is a bit, you know, it's just sounds like a bro step thing. But there's this weird sound that happens. Like, I really don't know how to describe it. Like, it's like the second half of each set of 4 bars. It's a really poppy, like, not poppy as in, you know, the genre pop, but like the sound is really poppy and kind of percussive, and it's really, really weird. But that sounds like that are what make me go, alright, I see what's going on here, and make me like it a little bit more than just the main bro step lead that happens through a lot of this song. And, I mean, the whole hardcore and dubstep thing doesn't really surprise me anymore. It's not a new trick, so I hear that and I'm like, yeah, alright, but I still really like it, because, you know, hardcore is one of the main things that Gamma does, so I still think he does it really, really well. But, you know, it's not incredible. This song, apart from that midsection, which I love, is not really much to write home about, but I'll probably listen to it just so I can hear that midsection.
Yeah. What I was saying earlier about the off drops being bad, now I think about it, I just really just meant the intro. Like, that midsection is amazing.
Yeah.
Now I'm listening to it, it's like really, and like, oh god, it's good to see like an actual complex melodic dubstep beat, which is not a common thing, at all. But yeah, that's good. Aaron, what's your thoughts on Let's Get Crunk?
Okay. So, judging from the title of the track and from the artist who produced the track, I was like 99% sure that I was gonna hate it, because I also did not like Party Don't Stop and Over the Edge at all. I didn't like those at all. I was like 95 or 99.9% sure that I was going to dislike this track, and I actually really enjoy it. The biggest part about why I enjoy it is because it's interesting throughout the whole song. Like, every part of the song is different in a way.
Yeah.
Like, both drops are different from each other. And sure, you know, it's like 2 minutes and 45 seconds. It's, you know, kind of easy to vary it up in such a short amount of time. But, like, the first drop has a great progression into the second drop. Of course, it has that really nice midsection to tie it all together, which I actually really enjoy. I don't know. I was really just taken aback by, like, how not bad this is, especially coming from Gamber, who I figured I would hate for, like, his entire time on Monstercat. But, you know, I have similar opinions to you guys. Of course, it's not, like, the best thing ever. Like, bro step and, you know, hardcore and trap are not my favorite genres of all time, and I probably will never listen to this, like, for leisure, if I must say.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I will either.
yeah, but I have to give it some props for, like, shattering my expectations. I mean, to say that this shattered my expectations is really not saying much, because my expectations were so low for this track, but
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, same.
I enjoy it.
I agree completely. Yeah. So, I believe that brings us to the end of the review in said segment of the podcast, which should bring us to the second segment, which is the news segment. Pete, do you have some
That is
news
correct.
together for us?
I
Yeah.
have plenty of news, if I can find where I put it. Yes, I have plenty of news. Alright, story number 1. Skrillex released a remix of Humble by Kendrick Lamar, which is interesting
Wait, really?
because... Mm-hmm. And I haven't heard
the fuck?
Skrillex doing much in a while, so...
Yeah.
It's interesting that I heard it briefly. I can't remember what it sounds like. If I remember correctly, it wasn't anything to write home about. But I just thought it was interesting because I really haven't heard Skrillex's name pop up like at all recently. I feel like he's kind of been going under the radar. This is the first main thing he's kind of released in a while that has actually caught my attention. But we've also got new Dirty Phonics coming to Monstercat, which I don't know how to feel about, honestly, because Dirty Phonics has done some really good stuff, but I don't know. Dirty Phonics has done some good stuff, but when I hear the name, I don't jump out of my seat going like, yes, I'm so excited. But
They've made some
Right.
pretty generic shitty stuff in the past.
Yeah.
Slander and Keizo's track Holy is going to be released in October, which one of the 2 collab tracks they were doing had a preview, and I don't think this was the one.
Yeah, it was
and they're
Without
also,
You.
Yeah, they're also releasing another
Slander and
collab
Keizo.
track together called Without You. So, be excited for more Slander.
It's not that
A
A
good.
song called Without You. How many songs are called Without You? Oh my
A lot.
God. Please. I wonder what the vocals will be about. Jesus.
Yeah. Varian is releasing an orchestral album under his real name, Nick
Oh, wow.
Taylor,
Nick Taylor.
on the 29th of September, which is very interesting. Because I'm actually pretty into orchestral classical stuff myself, so I'm interested, and I reckon we've all seen how well Varian can do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very interested to hear what.
Well, yeah,
that'll
generally
sound
he
like.
releases that stuff for, like, soundtracks for stuff. He'll, like,
Yeah,
license it
yeah.
off to people who can use it for soundtracks. It's pretty cool. He had, like, the 2 volumes of Pick Your Poison, which was pretty much just, like, soundtracks. Do you know that Varian produced some of the songs for the soundtrack of Borderlands 2?
Really?
Like, that's
Wow.
yeah, I didn't realize that. That's pretty dope. And what was the other artist? It was some artist I knew that worked on a bit of the Doom soundtrack, the recent Doom, which was pretty dope. But yeah, what else we got?
Kuro has released 2 remixes this week. One of a Zed track, which was not very good, and one of a Boombox Cartel track, which was very good. I've listened to both of these remixes, and the Zed one was... I couldn't get into
Zed's
it at all.
shit.
But his remix of this Boombox Cartel track, I can't remember the name of it, but the link will be in the description. I really like it, so go and check that out. Virtual Riot is making a new EP. Not much details on it. Not sure if it's going to be all future bass again. Aaron, I know you were
doubt
pretty
it.
damn keen on the
Yeah.
last EP you did. Which
Yeah, but,
I wasn't as into, but I think Virtual Riot is like on the edge of generic dubstep. Like it's still a dubstep future bass. I feel like that future bass, it has his
No.
sound
He's gone
to it.
so far over the edge. It's not even funny. It's terrible.
Rip.
It's like that last EP. I don't know what you guys think of it. It's disgusting.
I loved
Why?
it. I loved it.
Why? You made such good dubstep.
I wouldn't be upset if his new EP is dubstep, but future bass. Am I right? Nah, no one.
He
no
can
one.
do what he wants. He can do what he wants.
Yeah, of
Like,
course, of course.
I'm just like a little disappointed, but I'm sure he'll release more dubstep, no doubt.
Yeah.
Tristan released a new track which he labeled on his SoundCloud under Pop called Just Like I Do. So,
I'm really excited for that.
yeah. From what I remember, I didn't think it was personally anything special, but we'll see. A name I haven't heard in a while. Solero is releasing a track sometime
Yeah,
On
baby.
this week. Not on Monstercat, but
Oh.
he's releasing a new track which has not done in a while. He's not done much with music
Was
in
his
a
last
while.
track Invisible?
That was his last Monstercat track, but he's done a few things
Invisible,
off it. But it seems
That song's grown on
recently,
me recently.
from what I've seen of him, just posting random stuff on Twitter, he seems like he's not been in the greatest spot, like mentally and emotionally, and he's not been enjoying music stuff much lately in his life in general. But he seemed really happy and excited about this song. So if he's got that much faith in it when the rest of how he's been feeling is pretty down, I'm really excited to see what it'll turn out to be.
Same.
Lucid has teased more music coming with an actual picture of what looks like album art, which is more promising than just I am working on music, because I see a lot of those like news things on Reddit from Twitter. People will be like, wow, this person's making a new song, and it's just someone on Twitter being like, I am making music, and it's like,
Yeah. Wow, that's your whole
Great.
career. Like that's their career.
Yeah, good to hear. But since we've actually got what looks like album art with this, it probably means there's actually something proper coming real soon. So I'm excited to hear more Lucid. Something interesting. Pilot is doing the soundtrack for this 80s. I wrote 80s inspired, but it's more like it's just an 80s movie that's being made now called Escape from North Korea, which I listened to the preview of.
That sounds very 80s.
With some of the soundtrack, and it sounds like what Pilot would do for a soundtrack, but I think, considering what his style is, it fits that kind of thing perfectly, so I think it's just interesting. Yeah, it's just interesting to see Monstercat artists do things like soundtracks, but that's the end of the news.
Cool. Good stuff.
Dope.
Good stuff. Yeah. So what comes next? I'm trying to remember. We have the. Do we have the Monstercat track of the day now?
Yes, Monstercat track of the week.
The Monstercat track of the week. Okay. So this is the segment in which last week we will have gone to a random number generator and we'll have picked a random Monstercat album from album 1 all the way up to album 28, and we have now had a week. I know Aaron hasn't, but we've now had a week to look and think about a track that we want to talk about from the album, either because it's interesting, or it's good, or it's really bad, or there's just something you want to say about it. And so, what was the album that we picked last week?
Yeah, I would also like to know.
22? I'm pretty sure it was album 22.
Oh, 22. All right. Let me look for a song.
Let's see.
Yeah.
All right, you guys can go first. You guys can go first.
All right. Well, album 22 is like
really good.
I mean, so it took a while to grow on me, but it's a pretty damn dope album.
Yeah.
Like, a really, really dope album. And there are a lot of songs on it that I really, really like. But I think the one I'm just going to have to pick, because it's just, like, one of my all-time favorite songs ever, and I couldn't sit here and not pick it, is Victory by San Holo, which is, unfortunately, has just been kicked out of my top 5
Wait, it wasn't 22.
Was it not?
It was 11.
Yeah.
Oh, where did I get 22 from?
I don't
That's
know.
exactly double.
We're doing 011? I was so excited. I love 022. Alright.
Oh,
That's
well,
weird.
let's just not random number generator and say we'll do 022 next week. But for now, we must do what we promised and do 011.
Alright, 011 it is. Jesus. Pete, do you want to... Wait, on the Spotify version of 11, all of the songs have featured artists that are just various artists.
Yeah, I see that too.
Nice.
That's weird.
But
Alright, well, Pete,
I know
why don't you kick us
exactly
off?
what I want to talk about. 011, overall, I think, especially for the time, was one of Monstercat's weaker albums. There was very few bad tracks, but the amount of mediocre tracks there were is, like, through the roof. There's so many that I see, and I'm just like, it's okay. Things like Bumblebee by TVDS, and
Yeah,
To the Sun by Hot Date, and
That track is so good though.
Nah. And Precipitate by Zedia, that kind of thing. But there is a couple of tracks, this one in particular, that really, really stands out to me. And the track I'm going to be talking about is In a Box by Tech, which, in my opinion, is one of the best, commercial house sounding songs on the label. And I don't know if I've talked about it much, like, on the YouTube channel, but something I've always thought is, you know, when I've never been a fan of house like this being euphoric, or like most of the time when it tries to be like not sad emotional but like happy and uplifting, I think it does a really bad job. But when house tries to be actually kind of sad and emotional and it's pulled off, that's, in my opinion, the best commercial house could ever be. There's a lot of examples of, I think, it being pulled off really well, like Shake It Off by Resonate, and what's the Project 46 song from 12? No One. That song I also absolutely love, and this song fits exactly in that same vein. It's just, the whole vibe is nice and emotional, and it's like, it's got a bit of a happy sad vibe to it. Like, it's sad, but it also has moments that feel a bit hopeful. And the vocals, I'm surprised that they're good, but the vocals are
They're really
awesome. Are awesome in this song. And the drop, it feels like the sound design is towing the line between house and electro house. And that's not a bad thing at all, because, you know, I love electro house, and the fact that it's got some of those vibes going on just makes it even better. And honestly, pretty much all of Tech's other stuff, I'm not really a fan of at all, but this song in particular just stands heads and shoulders above the rest. And if you haven't heard it before, please do yourself the pleasure.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, what do you want to talk about from this album?
I want to talk about The Mentalist by Mr. Fiji Ouija.
Oh,
It's
got me there.
it's the song that I know best. And this is really like what established Mr. Fiji Ouija as like one of the best artists in terms of like vocal work.
Mate, Insomnia. First
I
track,
mean, you know, Insomnia is great, but I think that this like
9 out of 10.
totally breaks boundaries.
I mean, this was also his first track after a like 6 album hiatus.
Gina, which was 6 albums.
Yeah. But this is like great. My favorite aspect of this track is like in the drop, the vocal, like there are no real like vocals in here. It's really just chops. And like in the drop, it sort of like walks this line between like actually sounding like a vocal and sounding like a synthesizer, which is like really, really cool. I never hear this, and the way that it like fluctuates from being like an actual vocal sound to being this like electronic synthesizer sound, it like goes in between and back and forth, which is really, really cool. Besides that, like all throughout the track, vocal chops are used in like the most amazing way. Mr. Fiji Ouija is just like a god when it comes to vocal chops.
Yeah.
Like Aphasia,
like...
The Mentalist, Insomnia, perfect. You know,
he's like one of the best artists on Monstercat, and when it comes to like the way he's made vocals, I think he's like the best vocal artist I've ever heard in electronic music.
Yeah.
He's just so incredible. The Mentalist. I was gonna pick The Mentalist just because I'm sure Pete was also thinking about picking The Mentalist just because.
But as much as I really, really like the whole song, the intro is like one of the best things I've ever heard in music.
Oh,
like,
I totally forgot about that.
30 seconds is absolutely godly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this song has another thing about it which I love is the beats are so relaxed. It uses like actual real sounding drum samples, which is really nice. But it sort of hits those like trip hop vibes with just like the sort of really real sounding, really relaxed, nice beats. It's just song is beautiful, really, really beautiful. And then I think the track I want to talk about is a track I never hear anyone talk about, and it's so good. Morphine by Varian is wonderful. It's not quite as good as a lot of the other stuff he was releasing around this time. Like you had just on Lilith, which was, in my opinion, just like a slightly better version of this. It was like similarly spooky. It did it quite a bit better. But this song is still pretty damn solid. Like it's those really dramatic Varian notes, and it's just like really badass and cool and like very sort of spooky and big. And all the drum samples are really sort of creative and cool, and the drops and all of like the big massive synths that come in really smooth and awesome, and it's just great. It's really, really cool. It's like almost everything Varian's ever made. I love it. Yeah. What do you guys think of Morphine?
I don't know. As far as Varian goes, it's definitely one of my least favorite of his tracks. But that being said, it's still got cool stuff going for it. But honestly, I'm not that keen on it as far as Varian goes.
Mate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than the other song I was going to talk about, Walkers.
Oh, jeez.
No, Walkers is dope.
For real?
We won't talk about it, though. That must be, like, what, one of the most hated songs on the label?
Yeah.
Like, everyone hates early Stephen Hawking Trap. I don't get it. Claptrap is so good.
Dude,
And
the one on
friggin-
12 is good. The one on 12 is good.
Claptrap, Move, Motions are
Motions
all
is
awesome
good.
songs.
I actually do enjoy Motions.
And Walkers is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah. I think we can all agree that 11 is pretty weak.
Yeah. Also, if there was
Yeah.
another track that I would have talked about that I didn't get to because I only choose one was More by Subformat.
Yeah,
which is
dude. That's an interesting
really,
one.
Yeah, it's a really, really good
Well,
drum and bass song. And one of the earliest examples of an artist making one song and then just never releasing again.
Yeah, it's strange because for a long time, More was like one of my favorite songs on the label, but I listened to it again recently and I just sort of realized it's really shit. Like, like the drop is so basic. It's just like the houseiest drum and bass. It's like I like it because I used to like it a lot, and so it's sort of nostalgic. But the drop is just like do, 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 and that's the entire drop. And like a little bit of piano comes on in the second half, but the song's boring as hell. But the vocals are good though.
I really like the vocals are part of what carry the song for me, honestly.
Subformat's Neuro is way better though. I reckon he did better with the Neuro stuff. But also Zero G, classic, introduced one of Monstercat's best artists.
Yeah. Although the track itself isn't really that great.
Yeah, it's not that good. It's just it introduced Buster.
Yeah.
So yeah, he didn't start off that good. Like this wasn't that amazing. As much as I like the two tracks on 14, I totally agree that they're not that amazing. They're classics and they're good, like sort of like old fashioned drum and bass, but they weren't like amazing.
I think Shadow is like when he put his foot down.
Yeah.
And was like,
Shadow is
alright, this is what I can
Yeah.
do. And then
Yeah, I'm
he
good
went
at
on to
this.
release Don't Forget. And then he went on to...
Don't forget, it's also one of the best.
Everything's
songs on the label.
different, and then combine.
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Those four tracks are all
Combine.
just like 10 out of 10, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that brings us to the. Oh no, it doesn't. We need to pick the random album. Oh no, we're doing what?
No,
22
we're going to do
next week?
22 next week.
22.
Yeah. All right. Yep. So look forward to that next week. We'll be talking about 22, one of Monstercat's best albums for sure. And so that brings us to the non-Monstercat track of the day.
Shoot.
And I know Pete, you said so. This is basically the segment in which we find a track which isn't on Monstercat, but we think that you guys who listen to Monstercat would probably like. And so yeah, let us know down below how you feel about the track and suggest a track that you know that's not on Monstercat that you reckon that we would like. And so I know Pete, you said that you had something you wanted to talk about.
Yes,
That
definitely.
wasn't on Monstercat. So tell us about it. What is it?
It is something that was already mentioned several times in previous discussion. And that is For Me by Bad Computer.
Yeah.
Which is... I do not know where to start with this song. This is probably one of the best off Monstercat tracks I've heard, like, recently in a while. Because in terms of electronic, I haven't been listening to that much outside of, stuff I already listened to recently. I just haven't found that much good stuff. But when I heard this song, I was just absolutely in love. The really hard and bouncy feel that the first drop has is just... absolutely, that first drop is one of the best I've ever heard. And then when the second one goes for the more upbeat
Melodic.
and more melodic, like more sounding like New Dawn style to add variation to it.
Sounds a bit like Space Cadet as well.
Yeah. Which is just something that I absolutely love. And as much as New Dawn is awesome, I like this a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
Honestly, if anyone listening has listened to New Dawn and really likes like that kind of house, and hasn't listened to any of Bad Computer's other stuff, please go and listen to this.
Yeah. Now there's something I want to talk about, and it's quite strange. So Xavier, all of you old time listeners might remember Xavier. He recently found this album which he showed me, and I'm going to talk about one track in particular. The album was called the Cyphersonia EP by a guy called Camellia, and if anyone knows Camellia, you'll know that he's into sort of doing actually good happy hardcore, which is strange. And this album, Cyphersonia, I'm going to be recommending the track Key to Timepieces from Cyphersonia, and it is it's the artist Camellia. This album isn't as much the happy hardcore or the hardcore stuff that he does in his other stuff, even though one of the tracks does have speedcore on it, which is sort of ridiculous. But this album as a whole, it's just like ridiculous. It's so over the top and hilarious. With its sound design, it's so stupid. And this track Key of Timepieces is probably the best on the album. If you guys like Sakura Burst, it's a bit like that, because it's sort of like the contrast between the ultra disgustingly heavy sort of drops and the really beautiful intros and midsections. And Key of Timepieces is, I think, my favorite on it, because the intro is like all of these like bells and clocks, and all the beats are made out of different clock samples, and it's all just these different like time related stuff, which makes the entire intro. And then the drop happens, and it's just like, oh my god, it's like just really cool drum and bass with really interesting sound design. And once the song sort of just starts, it just doesn't stop, and it keeps going, and it's like, it's just insanely complex. This track is just ridiculous, and that goes for the entire album. If you like this, and you don't mind an album being like the heaviest thing I might have ever heard, check this album out. And in particular, Key of Timepieces by Camellia on the Cyphersonia EP is just like, it's dope, and it's Xavier's favorite album of all time. So yeah, check that out. It's really cool. Yep, that's my track. Aaron, what you got?
Alright, so I wanted to talk about a track from this new Culprate EP. The EP is called... Yeah, I know, I have to spoil it. The EP is called Unity Project Part 2. And the track that I want to talk about in particular is called Impulse, and it is a collab between Culprate and Au5.
Yes. I was going to talk about this last week. It's so good.
It is so good. I don't know. Like the rest, it's like by far my favorite track off the EP. I want to review this EP at some point, but like the rest of the EP is, Neuro, it's Halftime, and then we just get this like insane drum step track from Au5, who we all know and love, and Culprate, who some of us know and love. This track, it's the longest on the EP. It's like almost 6 minutes. It has this really great atmosphere that it builds up at the beginning, and like in the midsections and the outro and all that. There's a great atmosphere in this track. The drops are just like insane. Like I don't even know how to describe them. They're both different.
It's definitely Au5. You can definitely hear Au5 in it.
Definitely.
With like all those really luscious melodies.
Yeah.
Which he just does so well.
And they're those really like shiny sounds that Au5 uses a lot in like his in his in some of the stuff that we've seen on Monstercat. Just like I don't know really what to say about this track besides the fact that it's like really, really good.
It sounds like
amazing.
It sounds like Culprit giving Au5 a lesson on how to do like insane beats.
Yeah.
A lot of the sound design it sounds like really Au5, but you listen to the beat in a lot of the sections, it's like whoa, this is absolutely insane, and like not what you would expect from Au5. So I think you can hear both of their influences, and I think it works super well together.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see friggin' Au5 working with an artist so massive as Culprit. Like that's awesome. Because, generally, even though he got a couple big tracks on Monstercat, Au5 is still a pretty small artist. Like, if you look, like, whatever, that Freefall EP, like, that didn't get much listening at all. And all of his recent stuff, that like, I've never heard anyone talk about Au5 since this Monstercat stuff. And, so seeing him get signed, or get released with Culprit, who, everyone knows is massive in the drum and bass scene, is really awesome. And yeah, the entire album, the entire Unity project, both part 1 and 2 is dope, and Impulse might actually be the best song on either of them. From what I've heard, it's so good.
Yeah.
It reminds me of has a bit of that same sound design that was in. If anyone's ever heard Sanctum by Au5, which was like this sort of, it was a lot like Net. Oh no, the song's called, what's it called? The song's called Neptuna, I think. Neptuna. And if you ever heard that, what was his like dubstep underwater themed song? Atlantis, was that it?
I think so.
A5's
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. There was a song Neptuna, which was sort of like almost like a chill version of Atlantis, which is what I always thought Atlantis should be, because I didn't think that the dubstep worked well with the theme. But it was like this entire song was like this just really chill, like underwater sound design thing that Au5 put out, and it's amazing. And this song really hits that. And so yeah, it's yes, very good, very very good. But yeah. Oh, also Aaron, I'm interested. So what did you think of Unity Part 1, the Unity Project Part 1? Because I was listening to that the other day.
I have not listened to the Unity Project Part 1. I really want to.
Neither
I mean,
have
it's all neuro. It's start to finish, just like neuro heavy, ridiculous, but really really good.
Right.
Really, like the beats are so complex.
I mean, I really like the neuro that was on Part 2, so I assume that
Yeah, it's very
I'll
similar.
probably enjoy
Very very similar.
Part 1.
Oh, dude, there's a
Yeah.
track with Joe Ford on this album. Yes,
Yeah.
please. Oh,
Yeah, man, it's
gotta
really
listen to
good.
this.
Yeah.
I love Joe Ford.
Yeah, for both Unity projects, all of the tracks from both of them, all 12 tracks have been like great, start to finish. So, if you like neuro stuff, listen to these albums. They're so good. Yeah, but I think that brings us pretty much to the end of the podcast, doesn't it? So yes, I'd like to, of course, firstly thank all you guys for listening. Let us know down in the comments what you think of all the tracks we've talked about today, and suggest a couple tracks of your own for us to listen to. Thank you, Aaron, for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Really appreciate it. We've been having a couple lonely episodes of the podcast where it's just been me and Peter, and so it's good to have a new voice on. As always, thank you, Peter, for listening, and
For listening.
we will all listening. No, that's not what I meant to say. For coming on, what I meant to say was thank you for coming on, and thank you all you guys for listening. We will see you when we do. We hope to have you on again sometime soon, Aaron. It's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we will see you around. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.